Welcome to Advanced Vedic Mathematics course. Lesson 79. In this lesson, we will continue the processing base of Sutras 10 to 16. In the previous lesson, we have reached at the processing base of Sutras 1 to 9, and this base is to be continued further. These are 9 letters of formulation Ekadike, and in fact these 7 letters are the structural keys. We will come to it afterwards, but for the present we are reaching at the processing base of Sutras 1 to 9. We are recapitulating it. Here we had seen there would be a progression line. Here we have reached at the middle from both ends. Here we have reached at the vertical plane, having vertically and crosswise. It was an upward. Here we reach at the downward. Then we have seen that this has taken us to 4th space. Within 4th space, we are having origin seat. It is transcendental origin seat. It is of a plane. Here is a 5 space, and it is Guru. It is having attraction. It will, and then we had seen that there could be a throw with a particular force of a particular pebble. Particular weight can be thrown with a particular force for its reach only up till a particular height. It has settled the vertical reach line, the zero energy line, and then here we had a diagonal wise position. Then we had seen as to how this reservoirs will be emptied in another reservoir, or it is called accumulation. Things will sankalan it will be, and above is going to be vyavakalan. Then we had reached at a interval, closed interval, and split permissible as a closed interval and as an half closed interval. And then finally we had seen that we can have sequential progression, and there's yet which remains to be covered. It is a Chalna Kalna Bhyam. These are the 9 sequential progression basis features of the processing format of Ganita Sutras 1 to 9. Now we shall be continuing ahead, and in this way we shall be reaching at Sutra 10, and it is Yavdunam. Yavdunam means deficiency. It is to see how the deficiencies are to be measured. Deficiencies to be measured means that if we are having a beaker, and if we have a water up to a particular height of the beaker, then from its upper line remains this much as a deficiency. So this is the format of the Sutra 10. Sutra 11 is Vyasti Samisti. Text is Vyasti Samisti. This Vyasti Samisti means part and a whole. So it is just like in a plane we can have another plane. Within a cube we can have another cube. The cube inside and cube outside. Like that, we can proceed in a 4 space and so on. It is this progression which is of outer and inner. Here, for the inner, all the constituents may be points, lines, surface of a square, all are of spatial order. And here, for the internal cube, corner points, edges, surfaces, or the volume, all are of solids. These are of solid order. It is this feature of a solid order. But for the outer, we are having, these are zero space points, these are 1 space, these are 2 space, and these are 3 distinct spaces. So the format for Sutra 11 is Vyasti Samishti. Ahead the Sutra 12 is Shesh Ankain Charmain. Shesh Ankain Charmain. Now, Shesh Ankain Charmain means that if we are having a half closed interval, and if we want to make it its chase as the closed intervals, then finally there will remain a half closed interval. It is this feature that means if we are having a particular number, if we want to divide it by another number, and if it is not equal to a equal divisors, then there will remain a remainder. It is the format. So let us recapitulate that the Sutra 10 as deficiency is having a format of an unfilled part of the beaker. So from the top line, this much is the deficiency. For Sutra 11, the part and a whole, this concept as it is that we can have a square within a square. Also we can have a cube within a cube, and like that for higher spaces as well. So the outer square is having corner points which are 0 points, edges which are 1 space points, and the surface is of a 2 space point. However, for the inner square, we are having corner points, edges, and the surface all are of 2 space content. These have the structures of a 2 space, likewise in cube and all that. Now, as far as the Sutra 12 is concerned, Shesh Ankain Charmain. For here, that if we are having, say, a closed, half closed interval, and if we have a unit of a closed interval, then with it we can go on having slicing for this domain, but the last is bound to remain as a half closed. It is this feature that the last part is to remain, it is like a remainder. So remainder means shesh. It is this feature that it is to remain like this. See, the formulation shesh is of TC value 15. However, within 4 space, we have a origin, a solid, and it is of value, its dimensional frame of 5 space is 15. However, the dimensional frame of 4 space itself is of value 2 raised to power 4. So, balance is to remain. So, its processing format may be taken like this or can be appreciated in terms of the difference values of the dimensional frames. Then Sutra 13. This sutra says Sopan Antyam, Sopan Antyam, Dvayam Antyam. So if we have an interval, we see there are pair of endpoints. So it is a raised to power 1 is to 2 b raised to power 0. If we are at square, we are having a square is to 4 b raised to power 1. A cube, we are having a raised to power 3 is to 6b square. In general, a raised to power n is to 2n b raised to power n minus 1. This becomes the processing format for Sutra 13. The Sutra 14 is Eka Nunen, Ek Nunen Urve. See, we had Sutra 1 as Eka Adhikain Urve. Here we had drawn a progression line like this. Here it will be in the reverse order. One is to be very careful that it is say plus 1, then it is minus 1. In the context, it also will be relevant to see that Sutra 2 has given us a processing format for a reach for the middle from its both ends. But here, this part are being segregated so that this part is to transcend out. It is this feature which will help us that if here we are at a dimension, then here we are at domain. And the difference between the two is 2. It is this difference between dimension and a domain. Therefore, while Sutra 1 is taking us along domain, then next Sutra 14th is taking us to dimension. One may have an initial impression as if there is no necessity for Sutra 14. However, as the Vedic Ganita Sutras mathematics is not of a linear order, it is of spatial and higher orders as well. And here in the spatial order, there can be change of orientations. But along a line, we can progress only along one side, but here we can have a reversal of an orientation. It is this phenomenon of reversal of an orientation takes us to the structure of Hypercube 1. The difference between a line, this is a line, but when it is an interval, when it becomes an interval, then it is of this orientation from point A to B, and also there can be an orientation from B to A, and then it is as if this is the neutral line, means where the orientation stands neutralized. So it is going to be a 0 orientation points, and this whole structure is permissible within two space, as only within a space, within a surface that we can have a curve for a line. Now this gives us -1, 0, +1 and 2. It becomes a dimension. Here is a boundary, here is a dimension, and here is an origin. It is this concept which makes it Hypercube. Hypercube 1. The Vedic mathematics is taking a line as Hypercube 1, plane as Hypercube 2, and so on. That is why the Sutra 13, Sopanantyam Dvayamantyam, takes us to formulation a raised to power n is to 2n b raised to power n minus 1, and it is the difference of dimension domain of value 2, which essentially takes us to a spatial dimensional order. It is this reach of spatial dimensional order that way we can have a reversal of orientations only within a plane. It is this feature which is attained, and it becomes that way the format of Sutra 14. Now see, we have reached a phase and stage where the reach is going to be from a linear order to a spatial order. But the spatial order, would mean here we are at Hypercube 1, and here we can reach at Hypercube 2. It gives us -1, 0, +1, and 2. And here we are getting 0, 1, 2, and 3. So it is here where 3 space is the origin. It is 3 space as an origin which is being the phase and stage of the Sutras 15 and 16. Sutra 15 reads as Gunit Samuchya. Gunit Samuchya. While the Sutra 16 takes us to Gunak Samuchya. It is here where we have to have a very close look at this text. Now, difference is now as Gunit and Gunik. Here the words are Ga, U, Ana, I, Ta, and A. But here the words are Ga, U, Ana, A, Ka, and A. So, first 3 letters, as far as the guna are concerned, these are the common. But the difference is in it. Here word is ak. So see, this word again is a common. So we are at it and we are at ak. It is here that this is E and here is Ta and here is a Ka. This makes the value 6. This makes the value 5 with Ka Brahma. 6 is equal to 2 multiplied by 3, while 5 is equal to 2 plus 3. Further, if we have numbers 1 to 5, and these are factors 1 to 6, it is this feature which is to be comprehended well for having an appreciation of the processing base of Sutra 15 and 16. Sutra 15 as numbers 15 and 16, it again will take us to a dimensional frame, and here it will take us to this dimensional frame. This is 3 space, a dimension of 5 space. It is 4 space, which is a dimension of 6 space. Let us again have a pause here. If we are having setup points which make a plane, there are setup points. Now these setup points can be viewed as making lines like this, and also lines like this, say this form. And these also can have a form like this. Lines are going to be like this, and again like this, without any difference of placement. It is just the way we look at, the way we organize these, it makes a cross. It is this transfer of this dimensional axis into this format. It is this orientation. It is this twist. So if we have a look at the 4 space and with an 5 space as an origin, or a spatial order with 3 spaces as an origin, or that we are having this format for the plane, or with the reversal orientation, with shift in the orientation, moving along diagonal side, it is going to be like this. So the addition and multiplication that way become the formats for Sutras 15 and 16. Let us again have a pause here. Vedic Ganita Sutras mathematics is a mathematics of a creator's space within 4 space, and this 4 space is having a dimensional frame 2 raised to the power 4. However, the plane itself is having solid as its origin. 3 space is the origin of this. And if we are having a dimensional frame of quadruple quarter squares, say these values, then with the context of the origin, reach at the origin, we see we will be having 3 space as the origins, quadruple in number, making all together as value 3 raised to the power 4. It is going to be 81. Now see, here is 16 only. And when we say that within a line, we can have only single orientation. However, within a plane, we can have a reversal of orientation as well. But as far as the cube is concerned, we can have a split for a 3-dimensional frame and that way we can have spiral-like progressions of opposite orientations. It is this feature which is to be recognized, which is to be comprehended, and it is here where we will see that when there is a split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional foundation, and at the origin there is a release of a 4 space. It is this feature which is ultimately making the transcendence for the 4-dimensional frame, and accordingly we will have a continuity of a reach back from Sutra 1 to Sutra 16, taking us back to point 1. So it is this reach back, and we know the Sutra 1 is of 16 letters, Sutra 18, 8th and 9th as well of 16 letters, and 15 and 16th as well of letters. So it is this pair of consecutive sutras of equal number, and so 2 raised to the power 4 is equal to 4 raised to the power 2 leads us to a vertical pairing, vertical reflection pairing. And now this vertical reflection pairing is available here as well, and no bridging at such automatic there. But when this combines here, we get to triple sutras, and it is an orientation, say like this, and it can be reversal like this. It is as if we are again simultaneously progressing with a pair of flow lines, or it can be an other way around as well, and so we can have progression of pair of streams on both sides. And it is this way that this reflection pairing and this split of a 3-dimensional frame, which will make our Vedic mathematics processing base as of a cyclic order, and it could be as many number of times as we like. It is this richness of the processing base of Vedic mathematics, or mathematics of Ganita Sutras. As such, let us sit comfortably and math of Vedic Ganita Sutras, its processing base format is to be entered in our Sthapatya referencer which we are compiling, and it also shall find proper mention with proper notes of our TCV dictionary. So TCV dictionary and Sthapatya references are to be up to date, and this base deserves to be visited time and again. And this phase which has been visited for reached at for the processing steps. Here we have seen the Sutra 1 is the source sutra. When we say it is a source sutra, that means that entire system is to flow from within this very sutra, and it has two words, Eka Adhike and Purve. So it is to flow from this, and these are 9 letters and these are 7 letters. This processing base as such is to be compiled sequentially in continuity from 9 to 9 and from 10 to 16. And then it is to be seen how the number 16 is giving us to the whole unfolding process from the very first letter 6, which as D6 means 6 space content will give rise to 6, 4, 4 and 2, and further as to how the 1 to 16 numbers lead to 1 to 29 factors, and 29 is equal to 16 plus 13. These are the features which deserve to be comprehended well, and our TCV dictionary and our Sthapatya references are to be updated, and then it would be seen as to how that this text of Sutra 1 becomes a text of 16 structural keys of Sutra 1 to Sutra 16, with the first letter A as 6 becomes the structural key of Sutra 1, and Ka Brahma 4 becomes the structural key of Sutra 2, and like that up till the last letter O, it is to become the structural key of Sutra 16. We will be through them, and we also will see as Sutra 1 is having 16 letters and structural keys, Sutra 8, Sutra 9, Sutra 15 and Sutra 16 as well are having 16 letter each, and these also become the structural keys. So we can have a bunch of structural keys, fivefold. It is called Panchamvriti, and it is in this Panchamvriti we will be having these as many as 80 structural keys, which is equal to 8 multiplied by 10, and it will take us to a 5 space within a creative boundary of 10 components, and each component is within the boundary of 8 solid boundary components. It is here where we will ultimately reach at the transcendental base, and it is going to be a 5 space enveloped within a creative boundary, and this creative boundary itself will create a 6 space, and from within 6 space there will be flow of a transcendental content, and it is this cycle which is the processing cycle of Vedic Ganita Sutras. Thank you very much.